February is Black History Month, and there are many Black Catholics who contributed to the development of the church. These men and women broke racial barriers and fought against injustice while spreading the word of God. And we are back with Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, co-host of EWTN's God's Blueprint for a Happy Life. Deacon Harold, thank you so much for staying with us. Let's talk more about these prominent African-American Catholics who helped to shape the church. Father Augustus Tolton was the first Black priest in America. What more can you tell us about him?
Oh, I wrote a book about the contributions of his life to our country and to our families. But let me say first why I think it's important that we have a Black History Month, right? I mean, I think this is a good idea in the sense that the contributions of people of color, and this month it's Black history, but we also have Asian history and Hispanic history and Native American history, for people who have been marginalized and discriminated against in the past and whose contributions have gone unrecognized, unacknowledged. So this is the time to concentrate and focus on recognizing that. But hopefully it'll be a stepping stone to a time where we don't have to do this anymore. Where this just becomes a normal part of learning about the history of this country, where everyone's contributions are recognized. Now, Father Augustus Tolton was born a slave in Hannibal, Missouri, and his mother escaped to the Underground Railroad to Quincy, Illinois, and he started going to church, and with the help of some of the priests and the nuns, learned about his faith, and eventually Rome accepted him and went off to be a priest, and then came back and served in the United States, and still experienced tremendous discrimination. But by the witness of his life, how he responded to that with such faith and with such love is a beautiful, shining example of how we need to respond today.
Yeah, so important. Someone else I want to talk about is Sister Henriette DeLille. A lot of people may not know who she is, and she is on the path to sainthood. And if she is canonized, she'll be the first American-born Black saint. So significant. Talk to us more about her and her life and her work.
Yeah, so she was born in 1812 in New Orleans, and she had married young, had 2 children, both died in infancy. And in about 1830, early 1830, she experienced a tremendous conversion, and she decided to enter a religious community. But because back then religious communities, many of them did not accept people of color into the communities, she decided to start her own with a couple of her friends. And so they ended up founding a religious community, the Sisters of the Presentation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And they opened a convent. They had classrooms, they had orphanages for children, educating young girls, and which was actually to educate those who were slaves, was illegal at the time, but they did it anyway. She was known for her generosity and her love, and she was well respected and well known by all those who knew her. She responded to God's call in her life with great love, perseverance, and heroic virtue, and that's why she's on the road to sainthood.
Yeah, so beautiful. Another trailblazer I want to talk about, Mother Mary Elizabeth Lange, who helped establish the first Black Catholic school. For those who may not know, can you talk a little bit about her and her mission to educate children?
Yeah, so we don't know exactly when she was born. Didn't have the birth certificate for her, but she's probably most likely born in Cuba, then immigrated to the United States. She started a school for serving girls of color in about 1828, and subsequently a women's congregation of religious sisters in order to operate the school. So those were the Oblate Sisters of Providence. And again, that became a reality in a time in the country when religious communities were unwilling to accept women of color. She was really a pioneer. And the Oblate Sisters persevered with, even though despite all the great difficulties, and offered their lives in service to the needy and to the poor, to the widows, to the sick, to orphans, and all of those with spiritual needs. So she's a beautiful witness to the life of faith in this country.
So wonderful. So Deacon Harold, we have probably about a minute left, but I want to give you the last word on here. Anything else you would like to share with us that maybe I forgot to ask you about?
Well, I just want to make sure that we also, just quickly, the other ones, Sister Thea Bowman is another person that's on the road to sainthood. And many may remember her because she was alive during the last couple of decades. And the Venerable Pierre Toussaint is another one, a slave from Haiti, became a hairdresser, went to Mass every day for 60 years, started foundations to help the poor and the sick. So it's a wonderful time to recognize the contributions of all people of color to the life of the church and to this nation.
Absolutely. And Deacon Harold, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this with us. We appreciate it, and God bless you.
God bless you. Most welcome.